showing in the thing?
No, nothing at all. We are live. Welcome to the Backpack Show. I'm back. We're here. I'm in front of the camera. You're in front of the camera. We're side by side again.
That's what happens when your kid's still asleep. You have a show to do. Like...
It worked out. We're going to talk about you today. We're going to talk, not you. I mean, you.
The universal you?
But you. We're going to talk about careers.
You shouldn't point at people. Isn't it rude? Do the Disney point.
Oh, is it two?
You have to use the whole hand or two fingers. Right? That's what they say.
What do I know? We're going to talk about career and you and things and stuff and whatever you type into the chat.
Hi, everyone. Tim Kitzer from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Kerry Gargone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show. No guest, because guests won't help us. Let's do that.
I love getting guests based on like your popularity.
I love
just
guests.
The people that I get to talk to that I'm interested in. Hello.
There's a beautiful woman in this chat watching us right now. Diane Brogan.
She's my favorite, Diane.
She finally got my Mother's Day card I sent, so I'm only half
when
a bad
did you
child.
send it?
Too late, evidently. Not fast enough, I guess.
I mean, not like on Mother's Day, though.
Well, not on Mother's Day.
Oh.
I love when you're both together.
My favorite, Chloe.
Hi, Chloe. And Carl says, hello from Old Town Alexandria.
That is beautiful, Old Town Alexandria. I did a scavenger hunt there when I went with the kids.
Did you?
Mm-hmm, and their godmother. And there's not a lot for kids to be super interested in there at that. They were young. So we did a little scavenger hunt. It was fun.
I might need newer glasses because I didn't read that first word as Virginia. And I was thinking that'd make a really weird place for a scavenger hunt. Welcome to the show. We were talking about career rape as a possible topic for this sort of a thing. And look, Fred Faulkner IV is here.
Career on both sides of the coin, like as the person who's building your career and the person hiring.
Right. Because
and helping shape others.
We both have experience in both of those. Like you work with and hire a bunch of writers. And so you get the opportunity over and over and over again to understand how people are going to present themselves. And of course, we both manage and maintain our career in our ways, and we have to think about what we want to do.
You do it differently than I do.
Yeah, I'm the worst person for this, but that's like why we're talking Kerry. But one thing we've both experienced is that people who are already hired look at their careers weird in our perspective. Sometimes. And then the other thing is that when people are trying to get a job, I think they often focus on the wrong part of the process. But that's just me. Like, for instance, I think a lot of times there's a survey that I don't remember where it was. And I quote it all the time, which is worse because I don't remember. Hey, look at this. Cody's here.
I'm pretty sure there's a search engine.
I can write some Triple H fan fiction.
Hey, I have. But no, you can't see it.
Well, no, I've tried searching, but I just never found it. And basically the stat says that if there's a job opening, men on average will be 11% qualified and will say, I probably can do this. And they'll apply. And women can be 96% qualified and will not apply. And so even if it isn't a real stat, I swear it is. But it is.
I don't know if the numbers are exact, but that is the correct thing.
Okay.
I wanted the follow-up study where you find out if the morons that were male that applied had a better chance of success at landing the job than the qualified women who did apply.
That's a great question. Why is it though? What do we respond to in interviews that makes those things happen? How do we make bad hires?
It's the same as negotiation generally. Like you focus on the weaknesses in your situation instead of the strengths. You overbalance in your head. And so you're more willing to make compromises. That's where your focus is on the weaknesses in yourself and in your case, your situation.
I see. So you're coming for a job and it's like it said you need a master's in computer science and you're like, I don't have one of those. And so you come there at the table with your brain mostly laden with thoughts about how they're going to ask and you're going to say no.
Right. But you're sitting at the table. So obviously they didn't care as much about the degree as the listing would have led you to believe.
Right. Because someone let you through that that first rung.
Right.
Or something.
Maybe because you have like 15 years experience or something.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Or there's something that they don't even, I don't know, think. There's things that are on your mind that no one will ever care about but you. And you focus on those and it changes your whole energy, and your energy becomes, I'm not worthy of this, but please consider me, instead of, I have so much to offer you and it's really your loss if you don't hire me. It's cool. I'm not saying be snotty, but I'm saying be like, I think this could be great, but I'm checking you out as much as you're checking me out.
Right.
Because my situation is strong. I have a lot to offer. I want to know that where I end up is going to be the right place for me.
Right. I'm going to ask you to remind me of something a little bit later, because I want to talk a little bit about how AI fits into this. But I also want to mention that we can make a show this easy because we're sponsored by StreamYard.
We are.
You can make a show this easy.
Still sponsored by StreamYard.
Still sponsored by StreamYard. They still send me a check. I'm very grateful. Thank you, StreamYard.
I love StreamYard.
cbrogan.net/StreamYard. The reason they send me a check is because Kerry bullied me into trying this out, and it was super fun.
Yeah, where's my cut of that check?
You don't get
As a
it?
matter of
Hey,
fact.
want some? No, what? Moving on. cbrogan.
Do you want a .online domain?
You want a domain for 99 cents so you can take out of your $500 from StreamYard that they give me and not Kerry? Just use the code Chris any way you want, and it'll work just fine. Okay. So
you know what? I'm fine with that because it wasn't my popularity that prompted them to give you StreamYard. So it's fine.
Cody says, my wife, an HR executive, and myself argue about this all the time. I think one of the biggest challenges people don't understand, to kick off, you are applying to a recruiter, not the hiring manager.
It's true.
That's tricky too, right? Because you got to work the recruiter, you got to work the hiring manager, and then you've got to talk to the actual schlub who's going to actually work with you side by side.
It's really funny. I've evolved over the years to where I just put it all out there. I mean, I'm in no way negative, obviously, in a job interview. You don't want to come off as like a malcontent from the get-go.
Right.
But I mean, I show up as myself. I ask assessing questions because I'm really probing to see if this is going to be a place. But I do want the offer because I'd rather get the offer and decide that I don't want it than not get the offer. So I definitely am. I'm putting my best foot forward and everything.
Right.
It's very interesting. But yes, the recruiter is just another person. And if you are equally as interested in the person as they appear to be in you, it like goes more smoothly. I don't know. Some people treat the recruiter like a stepping stone or a peon or something. And that's a mistake because that person is a professional, a lot of times with the very same years of education as you have, depending on what the job is you're applying for. They are not morons.
Your timing on that is funny. Because I was about to say, I try to bypass the recruiter.
Of course you do.
In that process as often as I can.
Yes.
Only because, there's a judo to this in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid that I'm going to fail at that part of the interview because I don't think I interview well. And I think that what's going to happen instead is that if I talk to the real person,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to go, oh, I want that, even though I didn't say that in my job rec.
If you can bypass any of the steps, bypass the steps.
Yep.
Right.
I like that.
But if you can't, or if it would look bad, if you know what I mean, then don't. Like I've had situations where I knew someone at the company. That doesn't mean I expect special treatment in the recruitment process.
Right.
Or additional consideration or something. So I don't try to step over the recruiter in that situation because I feel like it would look bad for the person who recommended me.
Oh, that's a very good point.
But if you have no special connection, sure, step over whoever you want.
I always have a special connection. Joanne says that my grandfather succeeded by ignoring the credentials thing. He just talked Nabisco into hiring him right before the stock market crashed in 1929, and he held his sales job there until he retired. Well, it didn't hurt that he was an elf.
Yeah.
Nabisco. That's
kind of racist, actually, right? Speciesist.
Species.
Like you have to be an elf or you don't get this job.
Joanne, though,
I didn't want to talk to you.
We can agree that was a different time, though, right? I mean, yes, before 1929 was a different time.
There's still people from like prior generations that are holding the reins as far as recruitment and hiring go at some companies, especially small ones.
Yes.
Like I went to interview at a law firm. I was looking to go from a big firm to a small firm. And it was a father-son firm. And the father was an elderly gentleman with certain ideas about things like I just mean about like politeness and about hiring and about, I presented the very best, most erudite version of myself and didn't tell the same stories I might've told to the son. I did get the job. I also brought a gift. I had a book on I think it was Manchester, New Hampshire history or something.
Oh.
And we had talked about it during the interview. So I dropped it by for him. So I got the job.
Man, you're good with gifts.
I am, right?
I'm going to go back to that in a second. Buzzwords are your friend on a resume, especially with AI and automated tracking systems. Now, that's one thing I've not experienced yet. Is the world of recruiting in the land of AI.
Yeah.
Because I just saw I just was looking at somebody's LinkedIn and they had really stuffed a lot of words into the summary. And I was sort of thinking, well, that's weird. And then I thought, maybe that's that. Maybe that's I have to talk to the robot.
Yeah, probably. Unless you're applying for a really specific role. Like if you want to be an associate at a law firm and you want to work on like ERISA stuff and that's it, then fine. You don't need any more keywords. But if you're going to do litigation and you want to be, more broad, you're going to need a lot more stuff.
Yeah,
that's definitely true. It's a problem though, because people are looking at your LinkedIn also, and it's a little spammy. Like it looks a little spammy. It puts you off. Buzzwords in an interview too. I don't think it's ever a good idea. I mean, some people won't realize the emperor has no clothes.
Right.
But ideally, you don't want to work for someone like that because they're not going to appreciate the value you bring. You need someone who can see through the buzzwords and understand the substance of the position and your experience and how it matches.
I want to talk about that for a second more. This is an interesting point that Cody makes. And I think is a super important takeaway. So if like everyone's kind of listening, they're like not sure what to think about this yet. This part about the recruiter takes their Rolodex with them from place to place. You're such a great example of that. You've recommended a whole different bunch of people to our company from all kinds of past jobs and past experiences. So you're sort of like a shadow recruiter in that case. But who through your connections in your network is important. Like that's a vital piece.
Part of it's being interested in people generally.
Yes.
If I treat them like vending machines that give me the things I need for my thing, I'll never have a network. I'll never get anywhere. Moreover, work will be miserable. So I've never treated it like that. There's also, I say I'm a terrible networker, but it's like when I started out in marketing and going to events and stuff, I would talk to the exact people I wanted to talk to. I would not be like, ooh, that person's written a bunch of books. I would talk to them. Not one time. And there were definitely people who would introduce themselves to me and I was like, ooh, okay, I think I'm good on this. I would just never talk to them again. Right. And so now, many years later, I have a very strong, tightly knit network of people whom I genuinely like and admire, and I would recommend them for anything.
Yeah.
So that's where I am right now. That's part of it. And then the other part of that is like the people who would be in other positions to mine, like even if they're lower on the org chart or something, they're my colleagues and I've referred plenty of them to AppFire because I know the quality of their work.
Right. Well, so in sort of that vein, Joanne, back on the comment where I said, it was a different time.
Yeah.
She says it was, but there is something for not letting credentials get in the way. You can't ignore the requirements of the job, but maybe the credentials don't matter. You and
less and less. The credentials matter less and less.
You and I couldn't be more disparate in like qualification. I don't have a bachelor's degree. You have a doctorate, a Juris Doctorate.
Do you need a degree? I mean, you're a consummate bachelor.
Well,
nobody would disagree.
That's a whole other thing. But yes, I sweet talked my way into every role that I've ever had. Mom got me one job, and then I sweet talked my way into all the other roles. It'd be sweet
talking if you couldn't do the job, but you can do the job. Like the credentials are supposed to show someone that you can do the job. If you can do the job, then the credentials unnecessary.
That's what Joanne was saying too, though. Kind of is like don't let the credentials get in the way if you can satisfy the requirements. Mm-hmm. Because the other thing I see a lot, and I've had this happen a bunch when I've done interviews of trying to bring people in or something, is someone will have like an incredible pedigree on paper. They won't know anything.
Yeah.
Or they'll be from an amazing organization. And I'm like, what'd you do over there? And if I could stick up the old lie detector test, they'd be like, I spread the cream cheese on the bagel.
It's tough.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking for people, like when I'm on the hiring side, I'm looking for people who want to contribute something. They want to build something, be part of something. It's not just, I want to punch the clock and leave. I want to show up with my Starbucks and get credit for being here and then go home. I want to do the minimum possible. I mean, nobody's going to tell you that, but you get that energy. Everything is energy. So if you make it to the point of the interview, be very aware of your energy. And if you're inside thinking, I'm a loser, I don't deserve this, that energy comes across. It also comes across if you're like, I just need a job, any job, I don't even care. So
we're going to talk a little bit more about inside the walls of the company. I'm going to bring up this topic here, though. I always thought I sucked at networking and hated it, but actually, I think I defined it wrong. when you're creating a win-win by introducing two great people, it feels awesome. I have a very specific feeling about how to introduce two people, because I've had it so many times where someone has just lobbed me over a wall at someone, or the other way around. Hey, Chris, meet my friend Bill. Bill's great. And you're like, what? Oh,
take it from here.
Hi, great Bill, who I have no need to talk with. So I do. One quick story about that is just that I want to do the interview. If I do something like an introduction, I always make sure, hey, are you interested in, if I have a friend who I thought could help you, is that cool? Other friend, hey, I have this guy that I want to introduce you to. I think you two have something in common. Is that cool? Cool. Glue. Then you do
that's how you do it.
Yeah. But networking events, you and I are sort of,
I don't call them networking. I go to events like to learn stuff and then incidentally network with other people.
Yeah. Oh, Dia is saying that's one lesson she did take away is, ask both parties first.
Yes, please.
Networking events, like for instance, at conferences, birds of a feather and all those, like the tables with placards that say, we all like SEO.
Oh, sure.
All those kinds of things.
Don't talk to me about anything else.
They've never worked for me. I've never had a good experience at that. Do you, is there another way around that? My favorite is I'm a different circumstance, but if I were in an industry where I didn't know a single soul, I guess I would just try to get into the meat of one person and hope that they maybe know two more.
Oh, what did I do?
Yeah.
Let me think. So it's funny. So Marketing Profs has one of the best events in B2B marketing ever, the B2B Marketing Forum. Every year, it's dynamite, it's personal, it's fun. They infuse fun into stuff that by all rights ought to be boring. So one year they did office hours, and I think they do it still. And when I was working there, I had a table at one of them. I forget why. I presented sometimes about podcasting, sometimes about marketing law, like different things. Whatever this was, it was early on, like 2015 or 16. And someone came over and wanted to talk to me about how I built my marketing network. And I was like, cool. So this is literally kind of the start of it. I was teaching, I want to say, and I made a funny comment on, I think Content Rules by CC Chapman and Ann Hanley had just come out, and they'd done an audio version. And all I said was, oh my God, I can't wait to edit this so you say incredibly inappropriate stuff. I said to CC, and Ann Hanley was like, ha, 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 ha. And then, so that was like, we connected then, Ann Hanley and I. And then I went to Miami for an event because I was living in Florida, and met her in person, and we really hit it off, and we were chatting, and I was saying how much I liked having people in to talk to my class that I was teaching in new media marketing and stuff, enjoyed kind of interviewing them. And so then, like, not even, 6 months later, she invited me to do the Marketing Profs podcast.
So I was looking behind me, there's flowers that I was like,
my sister gave them to me. So you're welcome.
Thank you for your sister's
welcome.
Flowers.
But yeah, so that's sort of how it started for me. And so this guy said to me, oh, so that's not really replicable then. And he just like tuned out and walked away. I was like,
it's the most replicable
connecting
thing.
with people online, making an effort to meet them in person if you feel like there's something, worthwhile there.
Well, that's how you met Fred Faulkner the Fourth,
Not Fred Faulkner the Fourth. And he did talk to me at, I want to say it was an Adobe Summit or something. Like, if you meet someone online, you can have years of kind of like a great connection, but it'll be a tenuous connection at best, unless you actually make an effort to get to know them better. And that might be through online channels, or it might be in person, but you have to go past like funny comments and stuff.
So Cody Wooten, his entire job is very heavily weighted on relationships. Mm-hmm. It is so important.
Yeah, you can't tell at all
to build corporate relationships, because that's his job.
Hates talking to people.
Yeah. So here's some advice from Cody on that. My biggest piece of advice I give on networking is you don't need to talk all businessy, even at a businessy event. Comment on my Andre the Giant shirt. We have a love of wrestling. Boom, networking. He's right though, because there's so many other, I think where everyone gets networking screwed up or terrified is they don't know the first topic. Mm-hmm. They talk about weather or where are you from or whatever.
They want to be so polished though, is the thing.
Right.
They do the same to online profiles where it's so sanitized. They're interchangeable virtually.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of times what you can walk in with is, like you said, a genuine interest in other people. So we were talking about this at dinner the other night. Cody and I, we happened to be nearby. And so the conversation was basically, if Some of the questions that we could ask were, Cody has like a desert island disc question. You're stuck on an island. You have an iPod that will not run out of battery. You can have the full catalog of 3 individuals or bands. Now, you can't cheat. Like, you can't say David Crosby and get Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. But, you know, like that. And so it's a great conversation. It's a great question. Another one could be, you know, if I gave you $10 million, what would you really spend your time doing right now and differently? Hey, this guy, Steve Brogan, I think he's my biological father. Early on, I got many of my jobs from networking or cold calling. Later in life, I used recruiters because it was expected. If I was still working, I might have actually tried AI. Yeah.
What happened to the idea that you do what's expected? Because it sure didn't go down a generation.
That's a good question.
You just rebelled. You were probably like, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to break all the things.
Me? Oh, forget it. Thanks, Joanne. Good seeing you. Have a great weekend yourself. Never be afraid to give a comment. Well,
there's been plenty of times I haven't said a thing and thought that was probably better.
You might have meant a compliment. He might have.
So, but even that could be dicey.
It can be.
So I don't know. When I'm not even making an effort to network, by the way, but if I come across someone and I don't especially like them, I'll just piece out of it. If they're in a group and I have to see them a lot, that's a little harder. I'll still just be compliment. Like, cool, okay. I've stayed my hour. And then I'll leave. And then there's other times that if you have to work with someone you don't especially like them, you are not going to be able to hide that fact. So you either need to find something you can like about them, not to like torture yourself, but find out that they're like a great mother, or that they have an interesting hobby, or something you can work with, so your energy isn't always negative.
Right.
Because they will pick up on it and it will affect your working relationship.
For real. Yeah. So,
but if you don't have to, don't. That's my advice.
No comment, no apple. Dad's aiming for the apple. I get it. So when they're inside the wall, you and I were talking kind of prep for the show. Show prep. The one thing that we were talking about was that once you're inside the wall, I think people get the concept of career crazily wrong. I think on the one hand, they think that they should be trying to do things that develop a career. Mm-hmm. And on the other hand, and by the way, instead of develop a career, just do really good things that make the company better off. The other side is they may be doing really great things, but they're either doing the things that they were hired to do and thinking it's going to get them somewhere, which doesn't work, or they do an amazing thing, but don't really talk about it at all. So it just kind of goes under the wire.
But you do have to do what you were hired to do at minimum, or else you're going to have some problems.
Of course.
You made it sound as though like you shouldn't, but you should. Do the stuff you were hired to do for sure.
Yeah.
But, stretch yourself a little too. If a project comes your way, then make an effort to be useful. If you have skills that don't relate to the job for which you were hired, but you've got the skills, use them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think, depending, every now and again, sometimes you're not quite welcome, but you know what I mean? Like, even if you have the skill, but I was going to say,
yes.
More often than not.
I'm saying
no. I started with the negative, but what I was thinking was no one generally pushes away someone that's got something great to offer. I just started with the negative in my head because I said,
that's the whole office politics things where people are very territorial, and I don't deal with that really much. I'll be like, cool, if you don't want my help, that's fine. Knock yourself out. And then I watch it go awry, and I'm like, sorry, I don't want it to, but like if you spot something and you can help and you feel like it's not going to go right, they don't want your help. There's no graceful way to insert yourself into that situation.
Right.
So you have you have no choice. You're obligated to bow out and let it go however it goes.
I got great advice from my boss on that one though. Because there's two kinds of parents, I'm told. One is let your kid burn themselves on the stove, and the other is stop them from burning themselves on the stove.
What kind were your parents?
I think
both of whom are present.
Yeah, I think my parents. That's a good question. I think my parents let me make some mistakes. I think they tried to keep me from the most grave of mistakes, but the problem with my parents is almost the opposite. They could not anticipate the kinds of mistakes I would choose to make.
You're so imaginative.
I didn't burn myself on the stove. I put brand new sneakers on the stove. I climbed onto the stove wearing brand new sneakers and melted them down onto the burners. So like you can't, that's not in the manual.
My brother stood in front of our wood stove, opened his arms and said, "Give me a hug, Kerry." And I went running to him, and my mom just caught me before I went because he jumped out of the way. So that's what my parents were dealing with.
Yeah, I see that now.
Yeah.
So back to sorry, enjoying the conversation. Got around. Hey, Deanna, thanks for coming by even a little bit. That was very nice of you. We were on careers and things like that. I think that
helping with situations in which the person does not want your help.
Right. Yeah, that's tricky. Letting people fail. So my boss had said, thank you. I could not remember where I was. My boss had said, every now and again, you have to just let it unfurl the way it's going to unfurl. You have to watch the error happen and then help them pick it all up.
It hurts.
It does.
It hurts.
Thanks, Fred.
It hurts, especially if you're a practical person and you're like, oh man, this is going to be an expensive mistake.
Yeah.
And you really want the company to not kind of take that hit. So, but like I said, you mention it and you offer. And if they don't want your help, they don't want your help.
Right. Right. It's so let's go back to the career side of that. So now on the other side of that, you're one of those like tail waggy dogs, like put me in. I can do the thing. There's a lot of people who I've run into in my life who say, I could totally do that if only someone gave me permission.
Oh, permission.
Permission.
You love permission.
Permission is one of my other favorite swear words.
You have to know though who you're working for, because some people are very into permission. And if they are your boss, you have to be aware of it. But on the other hand, like that's not the majority of people. The majority of people would be thrilled if you did a thing and it worked out and it helped.
So I read 2 books at almost the same time, both with naval captains. And one was called Turn Your Ship Around and one's called It's Your Ship. In one of those 2 books, and I'm never going to remember which because I always get it wrong. It's stalactite, stalagmite. They said there's this kind of like chain where it like
you don't know stalactite, stalagmite
hangs tight from the ceiling and it might finally rise up. Yeah, I got you.
So I got you. Not confusing.
So I think that one of those 2 books had a thing where you work through the levels of leadership from I'll tell you exactly what to do. Mm-hmm. I will kind of walk alongside you while you do it and all that sort of thing. You get to the 4th one. This is the only one that matters in the storyline is I intend to. And then you say, I intend to do this. And then you wait for them to go, yep, go for that. That's what you're hoping to get all of your people to the level of I intend to, because that's the best kind of leadership, right?
It's sort of like 1-minute manager stuff.
Yes.
Where they come to you with a problem and you're like, and what are you going to do about it?
Right.
Instead of giving them the solution.
Right. I have found, well, first off, that's hard for me because I like to be like, let me tell you how to fix that.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do. But I also think when it comes to career people, this is back to permission. Mm-hmm. When it comes to career people and seeking permission, all that sort of a thing, I think even just laying out the steps for people a bunch of times, I think that like presenting solutions is a way to get more authority inside of an organization. What do you think?
Yeah. For one thing, people want solutions. They don't want you to point out the problems and not have some idea how to fix them.
Yeah.
That is important. You have to be the right person to fix them, which is a whole other thing. And if you're not, the best you can hope to do is speak to the person who is and, get it fixed. But if it's within your control to make something better, make it better. And there's stuff that's so low level, like for my boss or my grand boss, like I call my boss's boss, they don't need to know every little thing. If things are working great, if you can make something work better, you don't have to mention every stupid little thing. They don't care.
This just in about my level of protection with my parents. We preferred to keep you safe from burning yourself. Chris, you were very inventive and challenging. You invented brakes for the big wheel, my sneakers. You stuck your notes on the bulletin board at school with glue. So little time. Yeah. No, I
with glue.
Many. Oh, yeah. So Debbie King, my 3rd grade teacher, had a brand new corkboard that she had asked for like 4 years.
Oh, no.
They finally gave her the new corkboard. We were making haikus, and anyone who did a good enough haiku was told, just go stick it on the corkboard.
Okay.
So I heard stick. You know what makes things stick? Glue.
Yep.
I went in there and I glued my haiku to the corkboard.
I don't think that's your fault.
Then I went back into my desk, and then like some amount of time later, she went in to check on all the things, and there's like pin, glue dripping down.
And that's her fault.
Chris!
She failed to specify.
Yeah, it was a language barrier.
Yeah.
Speaking
That's like when I told my kids, hey, we're going to have to draw straws to decide who goes first. And my youngest ran out of the room and I was like, oh no, he's like all upset or something. He drew a picture of 2 straws, 2 bendy straws.
That means he got to go first.
He got to go first.
Yeah.
I still have.
Oh, and here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
Well.
How do you not, though?
I know you got it.
How do you not?
I know.
It's almost Father's Day.
Pretty much.
And he's your biological
it's
father.
Almost his birthday as well. 3rd of June.
No way.
Comments, no apple. Just
That's a good point.
You get the apple.
You just have to buy it, wash it, and bake it into a tartlet.
Oh, a tartlet.
Yeah.
My dad's probably down for making a tartlet.
I think so.
Do you want to put something in the backpack that's not an extra set of teeth or
man, what would
kindness?
I put in the backpack?
No one's asked you that in a while, huh?
Adaptability.
That's
it's been my single biggest professional advantage is that I find change exciting and interesting, and I always focus on the promise of it and not the inconvenience of it.
What's the title of that book?
Which one? Oh, Change? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, is it just called Change?
I haven't read it yet.
Oh, yeah.
I got a book about it. I haven't read it. But no, one of my old bosses gave me a little like pin of a zebra because when all the animals go to the side of the river, the first one to take the plunge in to go across is a zebra.
Huh. I never knew that.
Yeah. What do you put in the backpack?
I just heard a quote like this that not related at all, except for the word zebra, which was if you hear hooves, it's horses, not zebras. Meaning it's basically Occam's razor quoted a different way. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but one of these days you look out the window and zebra. Yeah. How are you going to feel about that?
Good deed. What am I going to add to the backpack?
In the context of career.
In the context of career. Okay.
Since that's the whole conversation today.
Oh my gosh. You're going to hate me. Kindness.
You're such a jerk.
It's true though. And see, look what you do. Every time someone says kindness, you just laugh at them.
I do. I do.
You're going to have to say that forever now. Kindness, because it's amazing. So I had a situation where someone maybe did a I have to read that. Does that say Longhorns?
Yes.
Longhorns and zebras. I'm putting a zebra in my backpack. No, I don't think so. My neighbor has zebras.
Cody, we've given away the apple. It's too late.
That's a good. You might get a second apple. The reason I say kindness, like I had a person at work send out a message to everybody at work, and it was not really well received. And so I said, "Hey, I know you're new here, blah, blah, blah. I just want to talk to you about this because it's kind of, I would have done it just a little different. Can I give you some
like the tone of it, you mean?
Yeah. And the tone was a little harsh. And so, and they were like, oh man, yeah, totally. And then as I had sent that message, because the message hit, I sent my message like within 30 seconds because I was like, oh no. And as that hit, a whole bunch of people started saying mean things to the person.
Oh.
Made her cry.
That's terrible.
Them cry. Any gender. Could have been anyone. And I was like, wow. Like just a little kindness, right? Like you don't like the message, just like I didn't like the message, but how you approach it is so different, right? Like we're all humans stuck behind things.
I did, as much as I teased you for kindness, there is a lot there. So my kid's godmother was kind to absolutely everybody, and you could see the difference it made in her life, but everyone else's too. So like cleaning people, like the attendant at the parking garage. I mean, literally everyone was always happy to see her. And so it lifted the energy of any place she ever went. The security guards, work, like everybody.
I got stuck because when you said cleaning people, I made it kind of like a verb. So she was very kind when she was cleaning people.
Weirdo. Well, you don't want to be mean. You're going to hurt somebody. Like, let's clean. Brush you off.
Clean him too rough. Do you have to do anything else?
No. You have to end the show, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my uncle chose his job because he was a musician and he was looking for like a more stable job. So he opened up the